Hello and welcome. You're watching CNN-News18 and we're talking goods and services tax as the debate continues in Parliament over the constitutional amendments. We've got our experts here in studio, Rajeev Dimri and Charanjit Singh Nanda, to talk about what GST will mean for you if and when it does roll out. It's expected, according to the Finance Minister, to roll out in April 2017. Mr. Dimri, let me start with you. Sitaram Yechuri, speaking a short while ago today, said we don't want states to go with begging bowls to centres. Is that what is even likely to happen with the kind of negotiations which have been taking place as far as GST is concerned?
So far, whatever is visible to me, it's the states that are supposedly calling the shots. But I guess the point was, what if at the end of the period there is a revenue shortfall? And that, I guess, is the question that he was referring to. And it's a delicate matter because what rate may work for one state, depending on how that state's economy is, may or may not work for another state. To give an example, Delhi hopefully should come out better with GST. It's a high-consuming state with, huge per capita income. That may not be the scenario for. So I think this 5-year income protection or compensation protection by the center should hopefully give them enough. And now that it is part of a constitutional provision of the compensation, should not come in the way of state being denied what should be its compensation. So should take care of that.
Okay, so that kind of balancing act needs to be drawn out. Mr. Nanda, let's talk specifically about what it means for consumers. Now, there's been a lot of talk about GST. For the last 3 years, this has been the big economic sort of drum that the government's been beating. Before that, we've heard the Congress talk about it as well. There's an expectation that it will be a game changer, but a game changer in what way? I will be paying less to buy goods. I will be paying more for services. Will there be a balancing out? How's it going to work?
Madam, if you take my view, I feel that it is very early to comment what the effect will be on general public. Largely worldwide, whenever GST has come, short-term inflation has shot up. But in order to rearrange all the balls, put things in the right perspective, I don't feel this is wrong. But there are certain positive and negatives of GST. Positive I can say about logistics. Logistics will be so smooth. A truck which travels 280 kilometers a day, waiting hours on borders, compared to 800 kilometers in US, that will match a lot of things. Things will be very easy. You go and look at the Make in India concept which the PM is taking. A great boost. E-commerce, there will be great boost. There are certain areas which need definition. The GST Council will define certain areas so as to set at rest all doubts that had been created on consumers that they may face a backlash.
Well, there's a sense, Mr. Dimri, that the way that governments have fallen over the prices of onions, the old saying, with the short-term inflation that was being mentioned there, this is a risk that the government is taking. How are they going to control that kind of fallout?
How do they control fallout of onion prices? So government have fallen on many things. If you look at the history of GST, and we do have a long history, not in terms of its introduction, but preparing, so far, this is where the industry has been demanding it, almost wanting it, because it is considered to be export-friendly and economic-friendly and all of those things. So what can make it go wrong is every good idea is only as good as its implementation. So we need to make sure that we are implementing it right. There is global history, there's global benchmarks available on how this tax works. It's not it may be an experiment in India.
If I may just interrupt you there, because globally, I mean, from the little that I know about this, globally, more or less everywhere, the format that has been followed has been the single model of GST.
Correct.
We're going with the dual model in what is an extremely complex set of circumstances. Does that mean that we can replicate those successes, or do we have to work harder at it?
We have to work much harder. There are two reasons why we have to work harder. One, of course, the point that you made. Our format is going to be very different than the global format. Second, our historic relationship between a taxpayer and a tax administrator has been adversarial, to say the least. This needs to change that. And therefore, for all the benefits that have to come with it, as I mentioned, those benefits are well known. Those benefits have been debated for a long time. We can go wrong in its implementation,
Right.
or we can go right in its implementation, but there's nothing wrong with the concept. What we're debating today in terms of the Constitutional Amendment Bill, is GST a good thing or a bad thing? It's a game changer for the industry. It's not a game changer for the consumer. Consumer will get impacted the way the industry will choose to pass on some savings, or how much will they take the
Right.
extra burden. Game changer for the economy, as you mentioned, how we move goods, how we produce goods. Should it matter whether I buy goods from across the state boundary or internationally? Economically, it should not matter. And today, our tax system creates a differentiation whether I buy goods from across the street, across the state, or import them. All that should get equalized. So it's a game changer for the industry. For the benefits to arise, particularly in our model, which is going to be different from what is traditionally done, I think extra care will have to be taken.
Okay, let me actually just take that statement that you made and put to Mr. Nanda as well, which is, with Mr. Dimri there just saying that it'll be a game changer for the economy, not necessarily a game changer for the consumer. I think there's been, at least in my view, there's been an increasing sort of concern for the middle class Indian, that he's the one constantly paying, that there are benefits being given to corporates, there are benefits being given to agriculture, and the guy in the middle, the services guy, the salaried wage earner, he's the one getting shafted. Does the GST shaft him a little more?
Then I'd like to tell one thing very clearly, very candidly. At this time, you can't go and define what will happen in a shorter perspective. But the reason why GST has been put across is a very pious reason. Across the line, all implementing issues needs to be solved. Maybe it might have a harsher view, maybe at times they need to be balanced. But ultimately, consumers will not be a loser. When tax regimes are differently managed, when they're smooth, when they're synchronized, when there is single window, it is always beneficial for the common man, for the middle class. The basic reason, the basic sentiment of bringing GST is to give ease not only to industry but to the common man.
Right.
But initially, when they have to put across, synchronize the entire crowd, they may be at a problem stage initially, and there may be certain states who may not be willing to always get involved into the entire reforms process. Let us be very clear. 50% immediately after this constitution bill, you need ratification from 50% of the states, which will be done because they are BJP-run states and this is brought by BJP. But the only issue that certain states may not participate in this reformatory process. But once they are there, the entire process will be smooth and it will bring a lot of benefit and resort to the general public and middle class people.
Thank you so much, Charanjit Singh Nanda and Rajeev Dimri, for speaking with us and giving us an overview really of what to expect. So it's not going to be all good news. Even if GST does get on the road, there are going to be teething troubles, the finance minister himself admitting to it. But both of them seem to be clear. In the long term, for the economy, this is going to be an absolute game changer. That's all we have for you at the moment. News updates will continue, as will the GST Classroom. Thanks for watching.